Sup, this is David, and today I want to talk to you about how personality is a myth. And to give you a few examples of this, I'm going to go through some stories of how I was able to go from a very shy, like the shyest person in the world, introverted person, to having a lot more confidence and being able to socialize and being able to be a more extroverted person, being a more outgoing person. And to start this off, I want to give you a little story of when I was a little kid. When I was a little kid, I used to be the shyest kid, again, shy, like so shy. You couldn't pay me money to speak. And we were playing this game called Mafia. Maybe you're familiar with it. But it was about 12 people or so. And I was on the side of the citizens. So in the game of Mafia, it's like this game where you're divided into two, the Mafia group and the citizen group. And as the citizens, we're supposed to figure out who the Mafia are. And so my job was that of the detective. And the detective has a very important role because their job is to figure out who the Mafia is and to ask the narrator if the person is a Mafia or not. And early on in the game, I figured out who all the members of the Mafia were. And so I had this important information with me. But here's the thing. But because I was so shy and introverted, I didn't say a single word. We could have won that game if I said that I knew who the Mafia were, but because I didn't raise my voice, we lost that game because I was so shy. And my friends came up to me later, they were like, David, why didn't you speak up? You knew who all the Mafia were, but you didn't speak up. You lost us the game. Because I was shy, I couldn't add value. I had important information, but I couldn't raise my voice because of my introversion. And looking back on that now, it highlights a very important thing, that if you have important information, but you're not voicing it, then you're not adding value to the world, you're not helping people. So in that way, you can be seen as somebody who's more in a taker's mindset just because of your shyness. And so that helped me to realize that I need to work on this skill or this getting out of my shell, because it really is a shell, it really is an ego barrier. Because I was so shy because I was afraid of what other people were thinking of me. And I became a prisoner to other people's opinions. And usually that's the case for most people. They are shy because they're scared of what other people might think of them. And so I've worked on this, and throughout the years, I am now a so much more outgoing and extroverted person that can speak in front of a camera, that actually loves socializing now, that actually loves public speaking. So isn't that funny how a person can go from being completely shy, not even being able to say a word, to now loving to talk to people, loving to talk to a camera. So I'm telling you this because this stuff can be learned, that you can change. You can go from a very shy person to a much more confident person. That we can all do this, and I'm a living example of this. And so this is what I found out, that introversion, you can work on this. You can work on this to become an extrovert. And how did I do this, right? How did I go from such a shy person to a more confident person now? Well, it was very easy. You just practice at it. You just practice at it. Just like with any other skill, you can see this as a skill by itself, or in and of itself. And so there's that myth in personality where you take this personality test, and the famous one is the MBTI test, right? And you get a score. And because you got the score, a lot of people, how they see it as is they become victims to these letters. Oh, I am an INTF, and because I am an introvert, I cannot do extroverted things. Because I'm an introvert, I cannot make friends. And they have this victim mindset. I'm pretty sure when Carl Jung proposed like this idea, it's based off of his ideas on personality. I'm pretty sure that's not how he wanted it to be. Like I'm pretty sure he didn't want people to become these victims of this personality. But because a lot of people see it that way, we get stuck. We get stuck in not developing ourselves into being shy and staying shy. And so that's why I'm saying this is a myth, that we shouldn't be victims to these personalities. And if you are continuously working on yourself, by the way, you're gonna notice that when you take the test again, a few years later, the letters are gonna change. This is an example of mine, from my experience. Like 15 years ago was like the first time I ever took this test. And I believe, I forgot the letters. I got like an INTF or something like that. And then I took the test 5 years later, 5 years down the line. And then I got an INFJ or something. One of the letters changed. I thought, that's interesting. Because I was continuously working on myself, right? And then I took it again pretty recently, maybe like a few years back. And I got a completely different letters this time. I got an ENTJ. And because I was working on myself, and because these things can be developed, I was able to change my personality. So here's the thing. Introversion is a skill. So is extroversion. These are both skills, and therefore, personality is a skill. Character is a skill. Identity is a skill. And because they are skills, they can be trained. Because they can be trained, they can be changed. Even your identity can be completely changed if you put in the time and effort to change it. But you gotta put in the time and effort to change it. That's the problem. Most people are stuck. Again, they're so complacent with what they have that they're not willing to die to their old self to become a better person. And we're not just human beings. If we're continuously working on ourselves, we should be human becomings. We should continuously be growing. And just look at society and nature. It's continuously evolving. We're continuously getting better. And human beings are no different. Therefore, we should be more like human becomings, to always constantly work on ourselves. And so these are skills. And to give you an example of this, think of like introversion and extroversion like sports. So if you go into the game of soccer or football, as they call it in the rest of the world, if you go into the game of football, you're gonna use your feet. And you're not gonna take those same skills when you go into the game of basketball, for example, right? They're completely different things. And it's the same thing with being an extrovert and being an introvert. Like, you can turn these skills on and off. When I need to be an introvert, I can be an introvert. When I'm at home and I'm by myself, I can be an introvert. When I need to be an extrovert, when I'm out socializing with my friends, when I'm out here public speaking, I can be an extrovert. I can turn these skills on and off, depending on the situation. And that should be the case for most of us, but we're not. We're like so caught up in just one side. And this is an Eastern philosophy concept called non-duality. To not divide certain things, like to not divide, like for example, like day and night. We think that we need one over the other, that one is better than the other, but we need both. It's just like one continuous motion. And so being able to work on both sides and being non-dualistic, you get a much higher perspective. You have higher altitude on things. And therefore you have a more objective viewpoint on things. You have a more objective reality. And you're a much more rounded out person. And can have more empathy for people on both sides of the coin rather than just sticking to one side. And this is also known as tribalism, by the way. So these things can be worked on. And anybody can do this and anybody can change. I'm a prime walking example of this. I used to be the shyest kid. And now I love doing this stuff. It got to the point where this is a passion of mine now. And that this stuff, it can be trained. You just have to practice at it, and you have to put in that conscious effort. So I'll just give you a few ways on how you can practice this stuff. How you become, if you're more of an extrovert, how you can become more of an introvert is, I would say, meditation, right? Meditation about calming the mind, calming your thoughts down. So maybe you're not as much talkative as in some situations. So that's one way on how you become more introverted, and just quieting yourself when it's not necessary to talk. And how you can become more extroverted is you can do many things. You can go out and socialize with more people. You can take up public speaking and just put conscious effort into it. Because most people go into a conversation, they go into a conversation just to have a conversation. But what I try to do, because of my shyness, was I went to a conversation to work on my conversation skills. I actually put conscious effort into working on myself. And because I asked myself, okay, how do I become a better conversationalist? Now my brain, my focusing center of the brain, now focus on how I could become better. And after the conversation, by the way, I would go home and take notes on this stuff. I was very nerdy about it. But it shows that this stuff works, right? With practice and conscious effort, you are able to improve and become and build the skill that maybe you are lacking. So that's the message I wanted to get across in this video, that these stuff are skills. And because it is a skill, it can all be worked on. So I hope you found value out of this one. That's it for this video. And if you found a little bit of value, I would appreciate a like and a sub. And that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.